And now, one of Dr. Watt's beloved sons, Michael.
Good evening. On behalf of my brother Chris, who's here tonight, I have to humbly thank you, Morehouse College, President Wilson, I'm going to forget some names, Provost Sheftall, Dean Lawrence Carter, Robert Bolton, and everyone who have made this event possible. All of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart, from our hearts. I truly appreciate it. And don't worry, this is only half my speech, don't worry. How does a woman like my mother do what she does so well for so long and still have more left to give? How does she do it? To answer that question, you must know who she is. She's a preacher's kid, which means she is a well-grounded Christian woman. She's the only daughter of two parents who reared her kids the old-fashioned way. She has three brothers. Growing up with three brothers, she learned how to survive as a woman in a man's world. But it was the woman of that house, her mother, who taught her that as a woman, she would always have to work twice as hard, twice as long, and be twice as smart as a man in order to go far and survive in this man's world. Those seeds my grandmother planted are at the root of the woman my mother has become. My mother has a lot of titles and degrees behind her name, along with the Latin words summa cum laude. She was valedictorian of her class at Grambling State University, and it was fate that she would one day coach Morehouse College seniors on their valedictory and salutatory speeches. She has 2 master's degrees, including a master's in French. My mother was hired as an instructor in the English department here at Morehouse by Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays toward the end of his term as president. She first taught under incoming president Hugh Morris Gloucester. She was a young teacher, not bad looking either. And what happened when this young teacher walked into a classroom of young men? They gave her hell. Or at least they tried. Fortunately, she was married, and my father was nearby, but she could handle her students. She knew who she was and why she was there, so it wasn't long before she had their utmost respect. We lived on campus in a faculty housing on Fair Street that would later become known as the Triplex. It was a tight community of her colleague friends who lived on campus and came over for dinner parties regularly. As my brother and I began to grow up, my family moved into another house off campus. My mother was a full-time career mom, co-head of a household full of men. She went to work, she came home, she cooked, she cleaned, washed dishes, and then graded papers on the kitchen table. How did she do it? She taught back-to-back classes, maintained office hours, helping students grasp grammar, literature, proper intonation in public speaking, and she still took me and my brother to baseball practice on time. How did she do it? She taught summer school to make extra money, often doing without things for herself, just so her 2 sons could go to private school and have the best education possible. How did she do it? My mother typed her PhD dissertation on a manual typewriter. She had help of a typist, but it was a grueling few years from her writing it to preparing it for presentation. I'll never forget the day I piled into the back seat of her 70s model Toyota Corona in the Brawley Hall parking lot, and I accidentally stepped on a stencil of one of her dissertation pages. The damage was enough that she'd have to type that page again from scratch. She cried her eyes out as we drove away. As a kid, I felt the pain she went through. I knew how much her doctorate meant to her, and it allowed me to appreciate at a young age all the sacrifices she made for me and my family. Brawley Hall was like a second home for me and my brother. We were constantly in her office, roaming the halls, waiting for Mom to get off work and so we could go home. I knew every inch of this campus by the time I was in high school. I had attended commencement a zillion times. I knew the Morehouse College hymn by heart. You might imagine it natural that I would graduate high school and go on to Morehouse. Nah, not me. After spending 18 years of my life eating and breathing these halls, Morehouse was the last place on earth I wanted to go to college. But my mother had the last word. One night at home, she sat me down and broke down all the reasons why, as a young black male, I needed to go to Morehouse and that Morehouse would be an excellent experience for me. I wasn't really buying it, but she promised that if I didn't like it after my first year, that she would transfer me out to another college. I never took her up on that promise. I spent 4 of the best years of my life at Morehouse with my new name, Dr. Watt's son. I was proud to be Dr. Watt's son, though it took some getting used to. Being Dr. Watt's son had its perks, like cutting in front of students waiting outside her office to see her, or having a car at my disposal to use between classes or after my classes were over. She was always there when I needed her. And I also know secretly that she relished my decision to change my major to English. By the time I graduated Morehouse, her talents outside the classroom were being recognized in ways that made me proud. She was promoted to class dean, still continuing to teach her oh-so-popular public speaking course. Over the years, she rose up the ranks of academic affairs to become the highest-ranking woman in the college. At one time, she was third in command behind the president and the provost. How did she do it? My mother developed a roadmap for students to be competitive for national scholarships and fellowships, and she has helped produce 3 Rhodes Scholars, a Marshall Scholar, and several Fulbright Scholars for Morehouse College. Wow, she did that. How does a woman receive that much responsibility and accomplish so much at a college designed for and run by men? That's my mother. Many students have called her Mother Morehouse, or the cosmic mother of Morehouse College. But she has truly been a mother to us all, and my brother and I have been glad to share our mother with so many other sons of Morehouse. She has mentored and inspired countless Morehouse men, and she selflessly has given her time and love to her family and friends. She wrote the speeches and rehearsed the student presenters, like the ones you just saw a few minutes ago, who would deliver those speeches at Morehouse's annual fundraiser. But if my brother called and needed something, she was right there. She directed the Morehouse College Summer Academy every summer in these recent years, overseeing over 20 concurrent programs on campus, all while ensuring that her aging mother, all the way in Louisiana, had the best care possible during the last years of her life. How did she do it? Certainly by the grace of God, and with God as the center of her life. My mother and I talk on the phone regularly. I have asked her periodically how she's done so much for so many and still kept it together all these years. She has often said, "I don't have a choice. Michael, I don't have a choice." In these same late-night conversations, she has dropped metaphors, made scholarly references, quoted literature centuries old. I'm on the phone like, how do you remember this stuff? Like, how does she do that? Like, I don't get it, you know? I've honestly been in awe of my mother for most of my life. She is the smartest woman I know. In spite of her accomplishments, I wanted her to retire years ago. I wanted the rest of the world to hear what she had to say and learn from her vast knowledge and expertise. Finally, after 40-something years of service to others, this is her time. This is her time to let the rest of the world see her light. This is her time to consult, hit the speaking circuit, hopefully write that book she's been talking about. Yet, we are richer for the legacy she leaves behind. From commencement and presidential inaugurations to crown forums and convocations, her influence lives on, deeply embedded in modern-day Morehouse traditions. But her most powerful legacy lives on in the students and alumni she has influenced in some small way. She lives by this motto: if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody how they're traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. That's my mother. That's who she is. How does she do it? The question is merely rhetorical when you see where she's come from and the path she has traveled along the way. And just when you think it can't get any better, she outdoes herself. And then it's like, how did she do that? She continues to outdo herself. She makes it all look so easy, doesn't she? But trust me when I tell you, she works extremely hard for Morehouse College and her students. And she wouldn't have it any other way. So, Mother, I still don't know how you do it. But I'm so very glad that you do. Thank you.
Some of you have not met her younger son, Christopher. Why don't you stand up again, Chris, and let them see you. Now, Ann actually has a third son. He's adopted. He's a dear friend of mine, and I have the distinction of sharing with you that the current president of Johnson C. Smith University and Morehouse man, class of 71, Dr. Ronald Carter, I had the privilege of welcoming to Boston University and giving him his first job in the academy. Dr. Carter, why don't you come on up?
My dear teacher, look around the room. We have all gathered here so that you might begin to comprehend the impact that you have had on our lives and on the lives of many more men and women who are now thriving on the world market. We are able to live global lives because you have always understood Socrates' insistence that an effective teacher must live among her students so that she might assist them in breaking down personal barriers and insecurities, at which point they could see, appreciate, and articulate their strivings through transcendental values. Look around the room, my mentor, and see how your sense of mission, your quest for truth, goodness, beauty, and holiness lives on in so many of us as a moral imperative that we never should have our fingers on the pulses just to be sure that our hearts are beating. Rather, we must always ask the pivoting question, am I discovering for myself my optimum creativity, a whole new mind in the world? Look around the room, my friend and my confidant, and begin to understand and embrace your legacy as a passionate, innovative educator who has disrupted standardized growth in all of us so that we, to use Howard Thurman's words, can look well at our growing age. Alfred North Whitehead writes in The Aims of Education the following about innovative teaching and learning. The students are alive, he says, and the purpose of education is to stimulate and guide their self-development. It follows from this premise that the teachers also should be alive with living thoughts. We gather around you and Wimbush Watts to say, because of your productive mind and engaging personality, we all move forward in constantly transformed ties of love and appreciation for you. On a personal note, this woman not only could stretch to the heights to inspire young men and young women to think about the possible, but you are right, Pastor. She had the touch that could heal when a person is in pain. This woman helped me overcome the pain of my father's death when she sent Willie to my room here at Morehouse to say, come, I need to talk to you. This woman knows not only how to transform minds, but even in the midst of darkness, she's a light that shines. God bless you.
Now we're going to have an official presentation on behalf of the college by our Senior Vice President, Dr. Willis Sheftall.
Thank you, Dean Carter. Good evening, everyone. was sitting there thinking about how our president, Dr. John Wilson, who is traveling tonight, might describe Ann Watts. And it dawned on me that for the last several months, he's been talking about the kinds of people that he wants on the faculty and among the staff here at the college. And he's used a dichotomy to make it clear. And he's characterized people in two broad categories, ducks and eagles. He wants eagles. And I share that ambition with him. And I think an apt description of Ann Watts is she is clearly an eagle who has soared to great heights here at Morehouse, and in doing so has lifted the college. So Ann, we want to thank you for that. You have been a spectacular addition to this faculty and a spectacular addition to the administrative staff here at the college. And somebody mentioned that you were number 3 in line at one point. Quite honestly, you and Phyllis Bentley have always been number 2 at best. I don't know who got 3 in there, but they let me think I'm the provost. In the last several years, we have developed a new tradition, and we want to include Ann in that tradition tonight. And that is, as faculty members who have retired, who have made particular contributions to the college in the classroom and out of the classroom, we have tried to recognize that with something that all faculty members seek in one form or another in their careers, and that is a chair. Now, this one is not endowed, Dean, I regret to say, but it is symbolic of the esteem in which we hold you here at the college. It's not a rocking chair either. We don't think Ann's going to sit down and retire and just simply rock in her chair for a while. My guess is it'll be like the chairs in your office, and that is it'll be filled with books and other materials for some time. But we wanted to remind you that you have earned that chair as an indication of just how much you've meant to this college and the contributions you've made. I want to thank you very much for those contributions, and thank you for your presence. And finally, I want to say on a personal note, in the Office of Academic Affairs, we have a lot of pressures, as I know you recognize, Mr. President. It's not always a situation in which you develop good friendships, because there's always tension. But I have to say that not only has it been a pleasure in the sense that Ann is the consummate professional, but I've enjoyed working with Ann. And I've seen the personal side of Ann. And she has shared that with me on several occasions when I've had things that I needed to talk about. I've always felt comfortable going to Ann to have those conversations. And I can imagine that my successor will hope that he can have the kind of relationship with a colleague that we've had over the years. And I just want to let you know that personally, I couldn't have asked for a better colleague in that office. And we really appreciate your efforts and your contributions. Thank you very much. Are we going to open this now? to say in closing that I never made a comment about Ann's legs, but I always noticed them.
MC Hammer, I can't touch that. And now, Dr. Watts, we have some special tributes to you. And I'm now going to call on members of the AKA.
Dr. Watts. We're going to miss you. We just have to start there. As women on this campus, for each of us who walk about these men every day, you have been such an inspiration and a solace and a friend, and we're lucky enough to call you our sister. And so, on behalf of the SARS here with me tonight, and there were some others that were not able to be here tonight, we want to say that we love you and that you mean the world to us. My voice is shaking. That never happens. But that's the emotion in this room. And I don't know if you've been able to turn around and see the room. Multiply that times thousands of the people that you've touched. We love you. And we have with us, I'm too close to this, a rose for every year of service. A pink and green rose, 42 of them, for every year of service. And we also have all this work that you've been doing. We have a wonderful opportunity for you to just relax at Spa Sadell. We love you. They don't fail you.
There's nothing like an AKA. Thank you, my Star Rod. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You know what? I also want to say before we, while we're leaving, that I first met Dr. Watts with the play MJ the Martyr Job, and I remember so eagerly going into her office and having all these grandiose ideas about what I think she could do with her play and this, that, and another, and being the consummate professor that she is, professional that she is, she just politely let me know, you know what? I have a great job for you and your energy, and so I became the prop lady. So, Dr. Watts, I just appreciate you so much. And like I said, we have those roses. We have the Spa Sadell certificate that will be coming to you in the mail. And we also have tip money for when you go to the spa, so you ain't got to worry about coming out your pocket.
Dr. Watts is an honor graduate of Grambling, and her president is here. Dr. Joseph Johnson, won't you come up?
To Dr. Ann Watts and family, Dr. Carter, a good friend of mine, members of the tribute committee, distinguished guests, let me say good evening. And I want to thank you, Dr. Watts and Dr. Carter, for inviting me to this, what I consider to be truly a historic occasion for a true legend, for an icon, a faithful and dedicated member of the Morehouse family, Dr. Ann Watts. Dr. Watts, I want you to know that I'm honored to be here tonight, and I want to use this special opportunity to congratulate you on your well-earned and well-deserved retirement from Morehouse, as well as this well-deserved tribute that's given in your honor tonight. One of Miles, Dr. Benjamin Mays, the late great president of Morehouse College, said, and I quote, "Whatever you do it so well that no man or no woman living or dead can do it better." Dr. Mays, as we know, was a visionary leader. And I would think when he wrote these words, he had Dr. Ann Watts in mind and what she would bring to Morehouse College. And for all of her professional life, she did exactly what Dr. Mays thought. With her diligence, determination, dedication, devotion, unselfishness, commitment, unyielding quest of excellence, and unmatched love for Morehouse, she played a major role in turning Morehouse into a shining star in the United States of America. So as a former president of Grambling State University, and on behalf of all of its alumni, we thank the Morehouse family for giving one of our distinguished alumnus, Dr. Watts, the opportunity to hone her professional skills at one of this nation's greatest institutions of higher education, Morehouse College. Dr. Watts, you have so much to be proud of as you look back on your illustrious career. Your direct and pervasive influence on gifted students and relentless pursuit of excellence will always be your trademark. And because of your principles, your integrity, and high standards, Gramblingites, and I'm sure Morehouse men throughout this country, will be forever grateful to you. As a token of my appreciation, and in the room, in the back room at the gift table, I brought you a dozen roses for your loyal and dedicated service to Morehouse. And I want you to have a dozen of those roses, and I want you to smell them every day, and I want you to enjoy this tribute that you're having tonight, because you see, you don't just deserve this honor you have earned. You've earned this honor. And I say to you, may God continue to bless you and your family, because you've truly been a blessing to Grambling State University and to the community of Grambling, and we love you so very dearly. Melissa Bickham, Miss Melissa Bickham, the president of the National Alumni Association, is here with me tonight, and she brought a tribute from Grambling State University as well as from the town of Grambling. So we appreciate you, Ann. We appreciate everything that you've done, And on behalf of the entire Grambling family, we thank you and we want you to enjoy yourself and enjoy your retirement. Thank you very kindly.
I think this is the appropriate time to have that alumni representative come up, Miss Melissa Bickham.
Dr. Watts, I'd just like to say personally, you have always been an inspiration, always having a gift, one, that beautiful smile, and always an encouraging word. You know, in life, you look to examples of how you can pattern your life, and you've always been such a wonderful example of a beautiful woman, a wonderful woman, a successful, phenomenal woman. I'm going to read a resolution from Grambling State University, and it reads, Grambling State University, resolution honoring Dr. Ann W. Watts. Whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts was born and raised in Grambling, Louisiana, where she was the affectionately called AB by family members and eventually by everyone in Grambling. And whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts was raised by loving Christian parents, Reverend and Mrs. R.P. Wimbush, who were among the first settlers in the town of Grambling. And whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts, a product of Grambling Laboratory Schools and an honor graduate of Grambling State University, received a master's degree in English language and literature from the University of Wisconsin and the PhD in English language and literature from Georgia State University. And whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts has distinguished herself as an educator, writer, orator, and community leader in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts, an outstanding professor of Morehouse College, is known for her creative writing ability, having authored and directed several plays and short stories. And whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts is the recipient of numerous special awards and honors, including being named recipient of the prestigious City of Atlanta Phoenix Award, as well as her induction into Grambling State University Hall of Fame. And whereas Dr. Ann W. Watts, an outstanding alumna of Grambling State University, has garnered a special place in the annals of Grambling State University because of her innumerable contributions to mankind and her years of distinguished service in education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the administration, faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Grambling State University extend congratulations to Dr. Ann W. Watts and her retirement. She is wished continued success and fulfillment in all of her endeavors. Her legacy of professionalism, service, and selfishness will be embraced by all future generation of Gramblingites. Frank G. Pogue, Ph.D., President, May 4th, 2013. Blessings.